Listen, sometimes the loudest move you can make is silence. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop chasing validation, when you just lock in and put that energy back into you, life starts shifting in ways you can't even describe. People don't understand that peace is power. They think noise is progress, but it's not. The real growth happens when you cut all that off and focus on what's in front of you, your grind, your goals, your healing. You got to understand, not everybody deserves to know your next step. When you start moving in silence, you take your power back. You stop giving people a chance to doubt you, distract you, or talk you out of what you know you're destined for. Every time you speak on your plans before they manifest, you give energy to opinions that were never meant to shape your path. So stop talking about it. Start building it. Let your work speak. Let your results echo louder than your words ever could. See, I learned that when you really focus on yourself, people fall off. It's not because you changed, it's because you stopped feeding their comfort zone. You stopped giving time to conversations that didn't serve you. You stopped showing up for people who never showed up for you. That silence, it confuses them. They start wondering what you're doing, where you've been, how you moving like that. But that's the beauty of it. The moment you choose you, life starts to reorganize everything around your energy. You got to protect your frequency, homie. Don't let everyone have access to it. Every distraction, every fake friend, every pointless argument, that's energy leaving your tank. You can't afford that if you're trying to build something real. Focus demands isolation. Discipline demands silence. The marathon ain't about who runs the fastest. It's about who stays consistent when nobody's cheering, who stays down when the world ain't watching. It's easy to get caught up in noise, scrolling, talking, proving, reacting, but that ain't where elevation happens. Elevation happens in stillness. When you wake up early, nobody around, and it's just you and your thoughts, that's when you start hearing your real voice. That's when your purpose gets clear. That's when you realize you don't need to compete with nobody. You don't need to explain nothing. You just need to execute. The truth is, most people don't want to see you focus. They want you distracted, predictable, easy to read. But the second you go quiet, the second you move different, they lose control. That's when you become dangerous, not because you loud, but because you unshakable. You ain't chasing approval no more. You're building legacy. You're building peace. You're building a version of you that can't be stopped by opinions, hate, or fear. So stop wasting words on people who ain't listening. Stop explaining your vision to minds too small to see it. Keep it sacred. Keep it quiet. Move like your next step could change your life, because it can. That's what happens when you focus on yourself. Life starts working in your favor. Doors open. People fall away. Opportunities align. Energy flows different. And one day, they'll look around and realize while they were talking, you were working. While they were watching, you were becoming. While they were guessing, you were building the life you always wanted. That's what silence does. That's what focus brings. It ain't about proving nobody wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Stay focused. Stay silent. Stay solid. The marathon continues. Silence is one of the most underrated forms of power. In a world that constantly demands attention, validation, and noise, silence becomes a weapon. It's not weakness. It's control. When you stop trying to prove yourself, when you stop explaining your moves to people who don't understand your vision, you begin to regain your energy, your focus, and your authority over your life. People misunderstand silence because they think it means surrender, but silence is strategy. It's the ability to withhold your words and let your actions carry the message. You don't need to announce every step. Your consistency will tell your story better than your mouth ever could. When you move quietly, you eliminate expectations. You remove the pressure of performance and give yourself the space to grow without judgment or interference. The moment you start talking less and doing more, the world starts to notice differently. They start wondering, they start watching, but they don't know. And that's where your power lies, in the unknown. People can't sabotage what they can't see. They can't doubt what they can't predict. Every plan shared too soon becomes vulnerable to opinions, energy, and resistance that don't belong to you. The wise keep their seeds buried until they're ready to bloom, because that's how you protect the harvest. Every word you speak is energy spent. And if that energy isn't fueling your progress, it's weakening it. Silence sharpens your awareness. When you stop talking, you start listening to your intuition, to your environment, to what's not being said. You begin to move smarter, more intentionally. You begin to act from a place of clarity instead of emotion. Words can cloud your direction because they invite distraction. But when you sit in silence, you find direction. You see who's real around you. You see who checks on you when you stop reaching out, who respects your space, who supports your vision without needing to hear every detail. Silence filters your circle faster than confrontation ever could. It also builds a stronger relationship with yourself. Most people can't handle silence because it forces them to face their own thoughts. But that's exactly where transformation begins, in those quiet moments where it's just you, your ambition, and your truth. That's when you realize how much energy you've been wasting trying to convince others to see what you already know. You start understanding that not everyone deserves access to your plans, your process, or your peace. Silence becomes your shield, protecting what you're building until it's unshakable. There's a reason powerful people rarely speak on what they're doing. They don't need validation because they're too busy creating results. When you move in silence, your achievements become louder. The success hits different when nobody saw it coming. People respect results they didn't expect. They respect the quiet worker who stayed down, stayed focused, and came out on top without saying a word. You don't have to post every move or prove every intention. The best revenge, the best answer, the best statement is success earned in silence. Every time you choose to stay silent instead of arguing, you keep your energy. Every time you choose not to explain yourself, you protect your peace. Every time you choose to work instead of talk, you take another step towards your goals. Silence builds momentum. It makes your actions more meaningful. It teaches you that not everyone deserves an explanation. Not every situation needs a reaction. And not every thought requires expression. The most powerful people are the ones who have learned to control what they share and when they share it. Because in silence, you become unpredictable. And in being unpredictable, you become unstoppable. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It's survival. It's the moment you stop pouring into everyone else's cup while yours stays empty. It's the point where you decide that your energy, your time, your peace, and your purpose deserve to come first. When you shift your focus inward, everything around you starts to change. You stop chasing approval, you stop explaining your journey, and you start listening to the only voice that truly matters, your own. The world teaches you to give constantly, to care what others think, to seek validation from people who barely know themselves. But when you focus on yourself, you realize that the love, the validation, and the strength you were searching for outside were inside you the whole time. When you focus on yourself, you start to see who's really in your corner. The moment you stop being available for every conversation, every favor, every drama, some people fall away. It's not because you became cold or distant. It's because they were attached to your availability, not your growth. When you stop feeding the noise, the ones who thrived on your distraction can't survive your silence. And that's how the universe clears your path. It removes people, habits, and environments that don't match your new frequency. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean cutting people off with anger. It means prioritizing peace over attention, progress over popularity, purpose over validation. There comes a time when you have to look at your life and ask, is this helping me become who I'm meant to be? That question alone shifts everything. You start noticing how many hours you waste scrolling, how much energy you give to people who drain you, how often you say yes to things that don't serve your mission. When your focus is divided, your growth slows down. But when it's aligned, when it's fully on you, your vision, your discipline, you start seeing progress in every corner of your life. Focusing on yourself realigns your energy with your goals. It puts you in tune with what you truly want instead of what the world tells you to chase. It also teaches you patience. Because when you truly focus on yourself, you stop comparing your journey to anyone else's. You understand that growth takes time, that elevation doesn't happen overnight. You stop looking at what everyone else has and start working on what's meant for you. The focus brings peace because it removes envy. You start celebrating other people's success instead of resenting it because you know your time is coming. You know the universe moves differently when your energy is pure and your effort is consistent. When you start to focus on yourself, you also start healing the parts of you that were neglected for too long. You begin to understand your patterns, your triggers, your weaknesses. You learn to forgive yourself for past mistakes and channel that energy into becoming better, stronger, wiser. Focusing on yourself isn't about isolation. It's about restoration. It's about rebuilding your foundation so that whatever comes next stands strong. People will notice your glow, your peace, your strength, but they won't understand the work you did behind the scenes to get there. That's the power of self-focus. And the truth is, once you start focusing on yourself, not everyone will celebrate it. Some will call you distant, selfish, or changed. But that's because they were comfortable with the version of you that put them first. The moment you put that same energy into yourself, you become less convenient. You start saying no more often. You start moving different. You stop engaging in meaningless conversations. And that discomfort reveals who's really with you, for you, and who's only there for what you can give. The ones who belong will adapt. The rest will fade away. That's how life reveals the truth, through your focus. Discipline and consistency and solitude are what separate the dreamers from the doers. It's easy to talk about goals. It's easy to get inspired. But it's in the quiet, lonely hours that your commitment is tested. When no one's watching, when the excitement fades, when the results haven't shown up yet, that's where discipline is born. Most people only move when they feel motivated. But discipline means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's doing what needs to be done, regardless of mood, distraction, or doubt. Consistency is what compounds your effort into results. One day of focus won't change your life, but months and years of showing up for yourself will. When you embrace solitude, you learn to build in silence. You stop depending on others to keep you accountable, and you start holding yourself to your own standard. It's in those hours alone, when everyone else is sleeping, partying, or scrolling, that greatness is being shaped. Solitude removes the noise. It exposes the truth. It forces you to face yourself, your fears, your habits, your weaknesses, and that's where real strength develops. You can't grow if you're constantly surrounded by distractions and voices pulling you in every direction. Solitude teaches you how to depend on your own energy, your own drive, your own purpose. Discipline and consistency are the roots of mastery. Every person who ever achieved something remarkable learned to fall in love with repetition. They did the same things over and over until it became part of them. They didn't rush the process. They trusted it. That's the hardest part for most people, trusting the process when the results aren't visible yet. But you have to understand that growth is invisible at first. The seeds you plant don't bloom the same day. You water them, you nurture them, you stay patient, and eventually they break through. Discipline is that watering. Consistency is that nurturing. Without them, the seed dies before it even has a chance to bloom. There will be moments where you question yourself, moments where you feel like nothing's moving, moments where your effort feels unnoticed. That's when most people quit. But that's also where transformation begins. Every time you choose to stay consistent through uncertainty, you strengthen your foundation. Every day you show up, even when it feels pointless, you build resilience. Discipline is the bridge between your intentions and your achievements. It's what transforms "I want to" into "I did." Solitude also gives you space to listen to your own rhythm. You stop comparing your progress to anyone else's timeline. You stop measuring success through likes, followers, or validation. You start realizing that everything you need to succeed is already within you. It just requires structure, patience, and faith. That's what consistency teaches you. It's not about intensity. It's about persistence. You don't have to make massive leaps every day. You just have to keep moving forward, even if it's inch by inch, because every inch adds up. Every step compounds. Every moment of self-discipline pushes you closer to becoming the version of yourself you're destined to be. There's beauty in the grind that nobody sees. The long nights, the quiet mornings, the sacrifices you make, those are the moments that shape your character. That's where real success is built. And when the results finally come, when your work begins to speak for itself, people will call it luck. They'll say you came out of nowhere, but you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It was consistency. It was staying disciplined when no one believed in you. It was choosing focus over comfort, growth over excuses. In the end, solitude, discipline, and consistency don't just change your results, they change you. They make you stronger, sharper, more grounded. They teach you patience, self-respect, and purpose. Because once you learn to stay consistent when no one's watching, you become unstoppable when everyone is. That's how greatness is built. That's how legacies are written. And that's how lives are transformed. One disciplined, consistent, silent day at a time.